Okay, so I took a call, as you guys see, and Facebook ended my video. Usually when you take a call in the middle of a live video, when the call ends, you can come back to the live and click continue and continue the live, but I didn't get that option, so this is a part two, well, it's continuation essentially to what we were just saying. But yeah, like living independently, right, for so long, it's just like, not that I don't recognize that, yes, it's more adaptive, right? A healthy way to coexist as black men and black women. That's the ideal way to go about or relating to each other, right? That we can coexist, we can procreate. But it's not that cut and dry. It's easier said than done. If it was that easy, there would be more black men marrying within their race, number one. And, there'd just be more, like, sustained relationships. But it's not that way. And I want to ask you guys, like, why is that? Why do black men have a difficult time loving the black woman, irrespective of a woman's flaws or baggage, and vice versa? Why are black women so intolerable of black men? I know I can speak for myself. Like, first of all, I have zero fucking tolerance and patience for bullshit and ignorance, right? And like I gave you guys an example, like I had to block that dude because I felt some of his statements pointed in the direction of just this insidiousness and ignorance and lack of self-awareness and responsibility that I don't think I would be able to deal with. Some things are workable, right? You can work through the issue, and other things it's just like, that's unacceptable. And I'm not here to change anyone, let alone try to date someone's what you expect them to become, right? Like, no, some people do that. What do you call it? Like dating their potential. I'm not trying to date somebody's potential. Like, if you're not there, like, no, it's not at this age, at this like time and era that we are in. It's like nothing is gonna change. And it goes to show why a person had difficulty in their previous relationship is how the things that come up, right, and getting to know this person, and especially when you're reflecting on previous relationships, it makes it ever clear. If anything, I would rather a man talk about, if you want to be self-centered and talk about himself, talk about yourself and the things that you can learn from in terms of your own personal mistakes. And even when I pointed in that direction to kind of get him to explore that, he goes, oh, well, the only mistake I made was not being aware, right? Not loving myself, like he's a victim. Not loving myself enough to set boundaries and to end the relationship. I was attracted to her. That was the mistake that he made, just being with her to begin with. I'm just like, it gets me though, because when a person is in that kind of relationship, right, it's a reason why you were attracted to her in the first place. So now that didn't go well because of not you and not just her, but both of you, what you both created and what you both come from. If people can be honest enough to admit that, listen, whatever manifests itself between two people in a relationship, that stems from something, right? You are the product of an environment. You're the product of your family, intergenerational curses, or shall I say experiences. That speaks to a degree of self-awareness, right? Knowing your family tree. In my doctoral program, we had to do a genogram. And doing that fucking assignment was very painful, shall I say. And I didn't go back that many generations. I only went back, 2-3 generations, right? I did myself, my parents, and their parents. I think that was it. But even still, just looking at the dynamics that exist within those generations, right? Intergenerationally, and seeing the problem, seeing the deficits. Just, it says, so it was a diagram, but the diagram, the layout of how we relate to each other within those generations, right? Within my generation, within between me, myself, and my sisters, my siblings, and my parents, and their parents, you know, and just seeing like, yo, damn, it's a lot of dysfunction. Not that I wasn't aware of it, right? And knowing that there was a lot of toxicity that exists within my own family dynamic, but just to see it laid out like visually, right, in a diagram, it's just like, fuck, yo, right? And seeing how, you know, different relationship patterns existed. It can, yeah, it's an eye opener, but that's something that is necessary. And I think I'm glad that I did that genogram, and I did this in the context of my family systems course that I took in my PhD program. But it was just an example of something that family therapists do with their patients when families come to therapy. And traditionally, like when you think about it, families don't really come to therapy. Usually, one person in the family dynamic is referred for therapy, and they're the identified patient. But then other members in the family are brought in. That's really how it's supposed to go, because you see that, okay, it's just not this one individual that's the problem, right? The problem happens on a contextual level within the family system, family dynamic. There's more happening at play, right? The individual is just like the microcosm of what's happening on a greater level. And you can even zoom out even further to see like what's happening beyond the family, right? The systems that the family is interacting with, right? Whether it's school, church, you know, religion, the media, politics, law, all of that. And so I think one who is astute, right, has an awareness of these things. And that's how marriages can be sustained. That's how relationships can be sustained. But when you got people who are so egotistical and self-centered and caught up within their own their own woes, right, their own personal flaws, they can't fucking see the forest because of the trees, right? They just are very nearsighted, and it's unfortunate. Like you can't have progress in a relationship that way, right? And it's just like, I know my food is coming pretty soon. I'm so hungry, but it's just like I see these things, of course, because I study and this is what I do, right? And I prefer to be self-aware, right? When you come to that, like when you develop a degree of maturity where you can see into yourself, like that to me is so freeing. So that's why I really appreciate that about my own maturity and developmental progress. Because you free yourself. You don't have to live in this fucking psychological prison of darkness, uncertainty, and ignorance, right? Not knowing, like, well, why do I have these problems, right, on an individual level, and why do I have these problems interpersonally with other people? Like, you know why, and you can work through that in a more productive way. But it's difficult to do that if the other person isn't mature enough, or it doesn't take ownership for their own shit, right? So, let me grab my food. So, I'm going to probably end this video on that note, but I have to say that, yeah, I'm always optimistic and hopeful that, yeah, there exists a potential ideal partner, mate, right? But, what I've been getting, they just don't measure, they ain't it. They just don't measure up. And even, it's like, it's always something missing, right? Even if there is someone who is self-aware and who is politically conscious, maybe got a little ass dick. You're like, damn, you can't have the full package. Speaking of which, I'm definitely about to end this video, but I've been kind of annoyed, really. I can't even say like I'm surprised or wowed or no. I'm kind of annoyed that recently I've been getting messages from guys that I no longer talk to. Like, why are you popping back up? I have no interest in rekindling anything. But these guys have been popping like, yo, all at once. Just like, what is it, right? I know we're in a new month. It's April 1st. Damn, I should have fucking pulled an April Fool's joke on y'all. Why didn't I? Why didn't I? It's still not too late though. I just might I just might. But yeah, it's just like, yo, I can count. Let me see. 1, 2. No, at least 2 guys. Probably more than that, but they have been hitting me up, and I'm like, no, 3. Mandingo Warrior. And I kind of had to double take, like, damn, should I hold his ass back? I don't know. Mandingo Warrior. The gynecologist dude, right? And I already talked about this in the previous video. He hit me up. My good friend hit me up. Little dick ass nigga. Ain't that something? What a fucking interesting fucking dichotomy. Got the Mandingo Warrior and then the little dick nigga. All at the same time. And then this other motherfucker. Which part of me is like, damn, I could use that right now in my life, right? I can use a fucking good ass spanking right now. But then hell nah, yo. I'm like, I've reached another degree of maturity and elevation and like my spiritual journey and just my journey in life, period. Where it's just like, yes, I am a sexual person. I'm a sexual being. But my dignity, self-respect, just I have superseded that desire, right, to be satisfied in that way. And I think at some point, like, the more you abstain from certain things, the better control you have over it. So it's been over a year since I've had sexual intercourse, literally over a year. And I feel good. And I don't have any cravings like I did when I was sexually active over a year ago, right? So it's just like I'm in a good space. And I feel like I value myself more. I value my purity. I value the sacredness of my flower and value the sanctity of marriage, right? Of a relationship that is sincere and serious. You know, I don't think these guys get it. Like, a lot of people just don't get it. Sex get played out if it's empty. You know, motherfucker, you get fucked good, but what's that? A few seconds of pleasure. Like my dad, he told me this when I was a teenager. It was just like, yeah, it might feel good for those few seconds, but after that, it don't mean anything after that. What's the point? A few minutes of pleasure. It's not even worth it. So you feel dirty after that. You feel used. You feel thrown away. You just feel like shit, you know? And who wants to feel like that? I think, you know, to each his own, but it's like every time a woman shares that intimate part of her being with another person who isn't like, that's not her man, that's not her husband, right? Like, it has to be your spiritual connection that you're engaging in this act with. If it's not that, then the fuck are you doing? You should not be doing that with that person. It's taking a part away from who you are, and you think these people, these creatures, don't even have the dignity, the respect, the appreciation for this thing, right? It's just an object to them. that's not even connected to a body, a being with emotions, with feelings. And so, like, they don't even deserve it anyway, right? I would love to be able to call these guys back who've been hitting me up lately, right? And I've had, obviously, former interactions with them. I would love to, yeah, spend a night and experience, magical thing with them. But for what? They don't fucking deserve it. They don't really give a fuck about me. For them, I am just, and it's just, I'm speaking for myself, right? Like, related to these experiences, but I can speak for, like, this is just experience that a lot of women go through, men and women, where it's just treated as an object. I'm just an object, right? Any woman could fulfill that need. So I am not special to them necessarily, right? It doesn't affect who I know I am, because I know who the fuck I am, right? But it's not like a special encounter, right? And they lack a sense of direction. So it's not about me interpreting this situation or a potential situation as like, oh, I'm invaluable to them. No, I know who the fuck. That's not even a point. I can care less about that part. It's about they don't know their own worth, right? And they lack a sense of direction, right? So I cannot value them either in that respect, right? In order for sex to be sacred and sanctified and magnified to a degree of like true intimacy, like it has to be a reciprocal valuation of each other, and that's not happening, right? So it's pointless. No. I have enough restraint and discipline and self-respect to hold off. And, if it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't, right? But, yeah, it's like people don't get it. And they're driven by these sexual impulses, not knowing what to do with those impulses, right? They're just acting upon it like, oh, I gotta get my fucking dick wet, right? And then, unfortunately, the media reinforces that, society reinforces that within the psyche of these men who think that it's socially acceptable for them to just carelessly fucking have sex with random women and sling their dick around, right? But they're devaluing themselves. They're devaluing the sanctity of relationships, of marriage, of intimacy, and not really coming to a self-awareness of who they really are as a spiritual being, as a person. It's like, nah, man. This shit is fucking played out, right? What are we really doing? This is a question that I ask. It's like, okay, you can lay up and have sex and fuck, but what is that achieving, right? Gratification right in the moment, but what is it really achieving? What are we doing? We wonder why we lack as a community. We fall short because we're driven by the wrong thing. Nothing wrong with fucking and procreating. That's what we're supposed to do. Yes, be fruitful and multiply. You gotta have sex to do that. But it's more to life than that. Right? What about building a legacy? Building wealth, right? That's where we lack. So until I find a man who's astute enough to be able to recognize that, and who is truly about the business of building a legacy and building, right? Like truly building and breaking generational curses, right? And changing the trajectory of their future along with my future, right? And we co-create this experience together. We're really about that business. We're really about that life, Because a lot of these guys, like I said, I'm not about to end this video because I'm hungry. They on the surface, they promote themselves as conscious, right? and transformed. But they have a lot of growing up to do. And listen, I don't have time for it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Feel free to leave your comments below. It's been a while. It's like, damn, I would love to prank y'all, but what? What could I prank y'all with? Years ago, I think it was back in 2018, maybe 4 years ago that was, I think. Actually, the prank, the April Fool's joke was I pretended that I was cutting my locks off. I didn't cut my locks clearly, but I had the scissors and everything, and I had you guys build up to this moment that I created as if I was going to cut my locks, and I didn't. And then I think last year the prank was I act like I was about to roll up a joint and smoke some weed, and y'all really believe me, but this time I don't know. I think I got one. I might have one for y'all later tonight, so we'll see. And I know I'm gonna catch you guys later. What is this button for? I'm sitting here pressing fucking buttons, yo. Oh shit. Okay. All right. Let me end this video. I'll catch you guys later.